Angie, thank you for coming and welcome to Living Resilient podcast. Can you tell us more about yourself? What do you do?
Thanks, Amma. I really appreciate you having me on Living Resilient. So, my name is Angie Maflira. I am originally from Malawi. So, I've lived in Scotland for 14 years. So, I came to the UK about 18 years ago. And I'm here with my husband and 3 children. The main thing that I do at the moment, I'm a community development worker. So I run a charity called Shapena, the African Women's Network. In short, we call it Sean.
Sean. I like that acronym, Sean.
Yes. So basically, Sean is about bringing African women together, motivating each other to aim higher, supporting each other as we're integrating, and also celebrating the successes of African women. We want to highlight the fact that there are African women in Scotland, in the UK, and all over the world who have achieved something, who can make a difference in the world. So Sharpener is there to do that. So I do that as my own way of raising the profile of African women. So over and above that, I'm also other things. So my background in sociology, so I did a bachelor's in social science, majoring in sociology at the University of Malawi. But when I finished university, I worked in a bank, which was a totally complete different thing. And after that, I moved to the UK.
So you moved to the UK, said 18 years ago, right?
18 years ago, yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
What was your, we are going to come to the idea, the motivation behind Sharpen Her. But when you moved to the UK 18 years ago, I'm guessing it was different to what it was now. How was that journey for you in terms of coming over, integrating into the system, challenges you had? What was your experience like 18 years ago?
So there's 2 sides to it, really. When I first came to the UK, I was in England, and my plan really was to establish a life here in the UK. So I only had to go by what I knew, and all I knew was you can come to the UK and maybe start studying, and you get your leave to remain that way, and then you can either continue studying or maybe change to something else. So when I first came to the UK, I did apply to study, and I was rejected on the basis of I did not look like a genuine student.
How? I don't understand. They said that to you,
Yes.
that you don't look like a genuine student.
So that was what the Home Office wrote in their letter.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe because I was traveling from the Midlands to London to college, and at that time I did not know that the college was kind of like dodgy.
Okay. I thought you meant it was the university that said you don't look like a gen. Okay. So
No.
it's the UK.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So for the rest of the 4 years that I lived in England, I was basically underground, just working without legal right to work, without right to stay in the country, which was quite dangerous. And I could only do that for quite a short time. And then after that, I realized that I needed to regularize my stay. So I went and made an application at the Home Office, and they sent me to Scotland. And that's how I found myself in Scotland.
How was it like living with such, I guess, every day with fear of your identity being exposed? Did you have that feeling? Maybe you walk down the road, someone might know, oh, you're a legal person and police can walk up to you anytime. How was that like? I can only imagine the everyday apprehension.
Yes. And you'd get to a point where you're thinking, is this my last day here? Anything could happen anytime. So, and I had a few close shaves where either the Home Office turned up to the house, but I'd moved out of the house a few months before, or the Home Office turning up at a place of work and just leaving a message to say we'll get in touch with her. And now I'm thinking they'll get in touch with me. What's that going to mean? So I got to a point where, and this is one of my sticky points. I think that people suffer, people go through challenges, especially because they don't have the right information. And that's what I was going through. I didn't have any support network, anyone to give me information to say, look at this situation, this is how you can go about it. So this was turned on its head when I came to Scotland, because now I found organizations, I found people that I could speak to that could give me direction and support in terms of what I could do. So when I came here, I was able to know what process to take to be able to regularize my stay. And it was not difficult because the route that I chose meant I could not work. It meant I could.
And what route was that, Angie?
So that was to apply for asylum.
So you applied for asylum. This was in England.
Yes, and then they sent me
They
here.
sent you to Scotland.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So
How did you know about that information? Who gave you the information to apply for asylum?
so interestingly, I got the information in England when things had really, really got tight. But the Home Office sent me here, and then it was a whole different environment, a whole new setting. Glasgow is a place where for the past 20 years, from 2000, I think, it has been the place where the Home Office will bring asylum seekers to. It was the first time in 2000 that they started sending asylum seekers to Glasgow. So there is so much support. There are organizations, there is that knowledge in organizations and in the communities to be able to support someone when they are going through the process, which was not the case in when I was in England. Yes, yeah. So for 5 years, I was in this process, waiting.
And how is that process? I mean, I've never met anyone that has applied. We know there's this route you can apply for asylum, whatever reason you have. But what is the process like? Is it daunting? Do you have enough support? Do you have support from what sort of support do you have from the government and also like social support? Did you have people around you? I guess you're given accommodation, right? You paid some stipend, some money, but how was that? And you had kids as well, right? So how did you cope with the whole process, and what effect or impact did it have on you as a person?
Right. I'll take that word that you have used, that it's daunting. It is daunting. So first and foremost, according to the United Nations, everyone has got the right to apply for asylum. Asylum means safety. So if you feel you're not safe from where you're coming from, you come here to ask for safety. You're asking for asylum. So everyone has a right to do that. But now there is a waiting period before you get accepted, before the authorities agree that you do need the safety. So you remain an asylum seeker, someone asking for safety, until the government decides that yes, you do need it, and then they recognize you as a refugee. Now, the process is not as streamlined as that, because in the course of that, some people may get rejected and sent back home. Some people may get accepted, and some people may get accepted, but they will tell them that we're not accepting that you are a refugee, but we'll grant you leave to remain in this country on other bases. So there are different routes that people go through, and there's no time frames. There is no time frames as to when you're going to be granted that or not. So during that time, it can be quite daunting, and there is always need for people to have support. And sometimes people don't step out to look for support, or people don't know
I
about
was
it.
about to say they don't know. I think, it's information, lack of
Lack of
proper or
information.
adequate information.
Yes,
But
yes.
you don't know, you don't know.
You don't
Yeah, you
know.
don't
I
know where
mean,
to go to.
yeah, I was in that process for about 2 years before I knew what was out there. Even in terms of raising my children, I had my two children in Malawi, and the youngest was born here. So even just to be able to know what to do, how to raise a child in this country, it was like I was totally lost.
Lost.
One, she was like 8 years younger than the other, so a lot of time had passed. And then being in a different setting, obviously the things are going to be different. Even to push a pram for me was a challenge. So I kept my child in the house for quite a while because I did know that there's a possibility of her going into nursery.
Really.
Nobody told me that. If I was Scottish, it would be maybe something that would be just common sense, common knowledge. So, and then because I was not stepping out to go into this, I didn't know the spaces to go to until, somebody told me maybe I could go to college. And then I was enrolled into college on an English course. And I remember on the first day, the tutor called me at break time at 10 o'clock and said, "Why are you here?" And I said, "I just want to study and be out of the house." And I also found out that that was a way for me to get my child into nursery. So the college was paying.
Okay.
So that's why I wanted to be there. And the lecturer said, "No, your English is okay. You don't need to be here. And if it's something that you want to be out of the house, then go and volunteer." That's when now I started stepping out to volunteer.
What has been the most hardest moment for you while you were in London or in England and living in that, would I say, in that shadow or in that fear of being caught? What was the most challenging point for you?
The most challenging point was when my employer had to stop me from working because the home office had come in and they'd discovered that I did not have the right to work. So I remember staying at home, and that time I was 8 months pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So I had no source of income. I remember having rent arrears and this baby being born, and there's no money. If I was born in this country or if I had legal right to be in this country, there could have been support, but I could not
So
access
you
that.
had no money, out of work, 8 months pregnant, two other kids. What happened next? I'm eager to hear.
Talk
I'm
about like
eager to hear. So, how did you survive?
so this is when now I started
And then the home office was looking for you. So,
yeah.
six, I think I counted five. So, the sixth thing. And then you
Exactly.
were
Yeah, so
being looked for.
yeah. So I think through that process, obviously you're pregnant, you have to go to hospital and stuff like that. This is where I started, receiving information like this is where you could go to for maybe like clothes for the baby, furniture for the baby.
Who were the people giving you this information?
This would have been like the nurses, the midwives, social
So, you
work.
didn't have any like social group, like any community you were in?
My life at that point was go to work, come back, and maybe go to church, and that's it. So my community, my circle was really small. But when I started engaging with these services, then I started finding out about
More.
what else I could do, and then how can I uh, fix and regularize my leave to remain. That's when now the world started opening up a little bit. It was out of pressure. It wasn't out of choice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. So, how did you? I still want to know the story. You started getting information about where to get clothes. 9 months, obviously, you put to bed. How did you cope? Who was there to help you? For example, you have a new child, nursing it, you nurse the baby all by yourself. The people come to see you, you cooking food, I mean, those things that happen back home in Africa where you have people who come and stay with you, take care of you, bath the baby for you. Who was doing all that? How did you cope? To be honest, I'm just wondering, how did you even cope? How old were your other two kids?
They were 10 and 8.
Okay, so at least they were a bit, they're not like, toddlers or
Yeah,
5, 6. So,
yeah.
but yeah, it's still kids anyway.
Yeah, they had to learn to be independent. I told them I'm not going to be doing the school run anymore. The school was not far. And interestingly, to be honest, I've had 3 cesarean sections and I never really had, even back home, I never really had that like support way, like, somebody from the family stays with you for quite a long time. I was having house helps. That's the most help I would have.
But at least that's something.
Yes,
Help. I
yes.
mean, the word is there, help,
Uh-huh.
which is a lot, and you didn't have that here at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you just have to plod on, isn't it?
What gave you the strength, the courage
Well, the
to
family
go
was
on?
there, and I had a very supportive church family as well. So they would dip in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember them, doing this very nice baby welcome for me. So I had all the as much stuff that I would need for the baby, but sadly that coincided with me coming to Scotland. So I left everything behind to start a new
Okay,
life.
new life.
Yes.
At what point, so you had mentioned something, and I was trying to let you get to that bit, but you haven't. So I'm going to ask you now. When you said you were almost deported, what happened on that day? You said you were almost, you got to the the airport, you got to the plane. You were actually, highlighting and the plane, and something happened and you were stopped. Can you just walk us through that particular day or period?
Okay, so now we're in Scotland.
Oh, it happened in Scotland.
Yes.
Oh, I thought it happened in England.
Yes. No, in England, I was just very
Oh, I thought it
illegal.
was. Oh, really? So that isn't. Oh, okay. So I got that mixed up. Okay. I was wondering why I hadn't yet discussed that.
All
So it
right.
was when you came over to Scotland.
Yes,
So by
yes.
then you were already what, a refugee, or you're ready
No, 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 no. Because now I'm still waiting for my decision,
for the
right?
decision. You had made the
Yes.
application.
Yes. So
Okay.
as soon as I made my decision, like the week I came to Scotland, I was given an interview. So basically, when you apply for asylum system, you did ask me about the process.
Mm-hmm.
So when you apply for the asylum, you are given a screening interview. That's an initial interview just to get to know who you are, how did you come here, and maybe a little bit about why you want to stay here. And then after that, they'll give you a substantive interview. Now they want you to explain more about why you want to stay here. And some people can wait for 6 months, a year before these two things happen. But for me, my screening was in England. When I came to Scotland, by the time it was a week, I had my substantive interview. By the next week, I had my refusal. And then I had to start appealing. So it can be a long legal process. You appeal to the court, and then maybe if you get refused, you can appeal to another tribunal and all that. And then you can get to a point where the Home Office say all your appeal rights are exhausted, and then you can submit a fresh claim. So for me, all these things happen within a space of 7 months. For some people, they can wait for a year from the screening before they get another interview. But for me, it was 1 week. So everything was quick because basically the country that I come from is deemed safe. So they just fast track you through
Okay.
it. Whereas if someone comes from a country where maybe there are challenges obvious, they can have a little bit more time. But still, it doesn't matter just because maybe there's war happening in your country, you still have to say, this is how I got affected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after being refused, I kept appealing and stuff like that. So it got to a point where I think I did not have any appeal pending. So that's the time that they came to my house, 7 o'clock in the morning, and they knocked the door. My kids were up ready, getting ready for school, and they were like, "Where's your mom? Oh, she's still in bed. Go and call her." As soon as my son turned around, they banged the door and they started shouting, "Angie, you're under arrest." And they come in, it was these 7 people, like home office people, police, and stuff
7
like
people to
that.
arrest you. What was your crime?
To want to stay here?
But they say you're under arrest.
Yeah, exactly. Under arrest. Probably you're here illegally. Because, when you apply for asylum, they grant you bail, immigration bail. So basically, you are legally here
Yeah.
temporarily while you're waiting.
Yeah, decision.
But for them, it was like, okay, I've exhausted everything, so now I'm just there. Got nothing to stand on.
Shield. No,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's what they said, and they came in and they asked me, "Oh, you need to pack your stuff. You're going," and I said, "But I've made an application to the European Court at that point." And most of the stuff I was doing it myself because lawyers would come to a point of saying we can't support you anymore. So I had to keep putting in application myself. Sometimes I had to read up stuff. How do you do this, and do it myself? So I had made an application to the European Court of Human Rights, and apparently they didn't have that. So they said, you are going to explain that at the office. So they took me and my 3 kids. They woke up my 2.5-year-old, and off we went to their office. And now in Scotland, they cannot detain children.
Yeah.
So they quickly processed us to go to Edinburgh Airport to fly to London so that can put us in detention because they could not do it here. So I was in detention for 3 days with the children, and on the third day, which was a Friday, the day of the deportation, they came and got us. And I remember,
oh my God, it's a lot. I'm just imagining in detention with 3 kids, and the youngest was 2.5.
Yeah. And at that point,
I can't imagine what was going through your mind. I mean,
yeah, there was times when my head was just like it wasn't working.
What were you telling the kids? And of course, they'll be asking questions as well. And
yeah, the sad thing was I tried to shield them the whole time.
What was going on? Yeah.
They kind of knew. Even now, I was asking them this year. They were like, "Oh, we knew something was going on. We used to go to the home office to report every so often, because that's part of your immigration bail. You need to come and report. Is it every month or something like that?" Or the other, you also have to stay at one particular place, the address they have given you.
Giving you so they can trace you.
Yes.
They can always find you.
Yeah. So and that's another condition of your immigration bail. So they say that they would see that and they knew that something was going on, but they didn't exactly know what. But at this point, it was out in the open. It was out in the open.
Oh God.
Yeah, so I remember like before we left Glasgow, sitting in the back of their office, and I was just lying on a bench. I did ask, I said, "Can I lie on that bench?" They said yes. Then I was just praying and praising God and worshiping God out loud. And they were like, "Can you please stop? You're distressing the children." And I said, "No, I'm not. They're used to this. It's not strange." So same thing happened when we went to the airport. They took us to the plane. So
you had left Glasgow to London. Okay, so you were at London, and okay,
yes,
about to board a plane.
About to board the plane, and
the plane was going to Malawi.
Yes. I don't know where we're going to stop.
Did they? Sorry, because I've never heard this sort of story. Did they allow you to pack up your things, boxes, your personal things? Did they? No,
Interestingly, they were kind enough to bring Ghana must go bags, the sack bags.
really.
So usually they'll just tell you to pack what you can, but they allowed us to pack stuff in there and also said you could take your suitcases. But anyway, fast forward to the airport, as we're waiting to board the plane. We waited outside for a little bit because obviously, as criminals, you don't get in with everyone else. You go around the back.
So now your status is criminal, really?
Yeah,
Is that it?
yeah. So,
Oh, wow.
so somebody forgot boarding passes, so he went back to get them. In the meantime, we're standing there waiting. We can't go inside. And my daughter was crying. As I was trying to comfort her, this guy comes and says, "Okay, let's go." And I'm like, "Let's go where?" Says, "Into the plane." And I'm like, "No, I'm not going." Then I sat down, I knelt down. I'm not going anywhere. It's like, what? I'm not going anywhere. Then I started singing. I was singing a snack song. I was like, "You do mighty things, you do glorious things." I was not asking God for anything. I was just
Just
thanking God. I
praising.
was like, "Thank you, Lord," whatever. So within under 2 minutes, somebody patted me on the back and said, "It's okay, let's go." And I'm saying, "Go
Go
where?"
where again? Are
And
you
she's like, "Oh,
serious?
you're going back to the coach." Mind you, they spend a lot of money. Me and my 3 kids, they hired a whole coach for us, a whole coach with 7 members of staff to take us to Malawi,
Wow.
doctors, whatever, social workers,
So they're
whatever,
gonna fly with you to
security.
Malawi.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
And yeah, so we went back to the coach, and yeah, the rest is history. Back to detention, back to
And at
Glasgow.
that point, what was going through your head? Did you like what's happening here? Hold on, and you got no explanation, nothing. You just follow them back into
Well, they made sure they faxed the
London.
final refusal to the airport so that I get it. As I'm getting on the plane, I know that I've exhausted all my options.
Okay. So did they hand that over to
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
But you didn't get on the plane.
I did not, because when I did that, they were like, apparently the pilot was like, "I'm not taking someone disruptive."
Okay.
There's some parts of it that I don't know up to now, but yeah, apparently the pilot was like, "Mm-mm, no."
And then that took you back
Yeah,
and the kids.
yeah.
And then when you were going back, what was going through your head?
Not much, because I was not in the right headspace. Apparently, somebody called me later in the night and I was just talking gibberish. I think mentally I was just messed up.
Oh my goodness. So from the airport, they now drove you back to where?
Detention.
Detention. And they left you again for some days.
Yes. And then that particular detention, you could not stay there for more than 7 days. It wasn't nice. You get like a 3-bedroom flat.
Oh, wow.
And it was not the usual.
The best of reception before you
Yeah,
leave.
yeah. My kids had never seen like Xboxes and everything. They had them there. They had everything there. And then you're just getting ready to
To leave.
yeah, yeah.
Enjoy it now, the last,
Exactly.
of the good stuff.
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh my
but
word.
that was I think that was the time when I realized I needed to be somebody who can fight for my own rights and other people's rights. So that was the turning around point of my life. And
But what do you think happened? Why do you think they stopped it? Was it the letter you said you wrote to European something, human
that did
rights?
not work.
So what do you really know what happened?
What they
Why?
faxed was a final refusal. So that was not in my favor again.
Yeah.
But maybe one, the disruption, and also people in Glasgow, I think, I hear they told people down south to say there's this person, and I think they did some kind of demonstration at the airport.
Oh, really? Where in Glasgow
At the
or
airport in
London?
London. Up to now, I don't know whether it was Gatwick or there are things that are
Yeah,
still missing in my head. I don't know the some
nitty
dots.
gritty, the
Yes,
whole
yes.
info
So there were people there as well demonstrating.
on your behalf.
Yes, and I wasn't aware of that.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah.
It's an interesting, yeah, it's really, really interesting and intriguing. And then you came back to London, you found your way back to Scotland.
Yes. So there was a charity that supported us to come back to Glasgow. They drove us back to Glasgow, back to our house, made sure they shopped for us and
The
everything.
charity, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
because at that point the Home Office was like, no, 7 days we can't keep you here, and it was like drop it like it's hot, like they just didn't want anything to do
To
with
do
us.
with you. How did the charity know about
They
you?
were working in the detention. It's a children's
Okay.
charity
Okay. So probably they saw you and the kids, and
because they
now,
had been with us, and so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they picked up the pieces
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Your story is so touching, and so that's not what gave you the inspiration to start this
Yeah.
your
Uh-huh.
own charity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I really don't want anybody else to go
To
through
go
what I went
through
through.
that. As you're talking, I'm just imagining because I can't I'm just I mean it's yeah, especially with kids and that young, must have been a lot.
Yeah. So
So so what would you say the what is the reason why are people falling into this situation? Is it the lack of information? Is it the lack of support? And how do you think? I mean, that's part of what you're doing now, right, with Chaplain House. So maybe you should tell us what your charity is doing to help women that
okay.
probably find themselves in this situation.
Mhm. Yeah, like I said, we're bringing African women together, supporting each other, and I know that there are things that the powers that be are in charge of that we
Mm-hmm.
cannot do anything about, but we can help inform people,
Mm-hmm.
to not do stuff that that got some of us into trouble. Give the information. If we cannot give the information, signpost people. uh, I feel lucky in the way that as a community development worker, I have a good picture of what's available out there, and I can signpost people to say this person is
Yeah.
going to support you for that. So we I like to see ourselves as the scaffolding that can support someone, because to be fair, the immigration system is, well, it's termed hostile environment, and it is hostile. But what we can do is, to be the cushioning around somebody's life, to be the scaffolding that can support them while they're going through that. We may not be able to change what they're experiencing or who they're having to work with, who they're having to deal with, but just to give that support. Is it mental health? Is it information?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just to facilitate, an easy landing, or
Some sort
an
of
yeah,
support,
yes,
because I think we all need some support, one
yes, we do.
support or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that what you said about you read is something which, so you read, you sourced for information as well. I mean, you tried to help yourself, where you wrote letters to, human rights and reading up things, which is something we should do more of. You find yourself in a terrible situation, you source for the information, but also knowing that people are there where you can go to get support, to get the right information, which I think that's what you're really trying to um, do with your charity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well done. So now you're here, settled, and how is the charity? How is that going?
So we've been running close to 6 years now, bringing women together. We've got a network of about 230 women,
Okay.
and we have sessions every week where women come and meet in a face-to-face support group. We also have a Zoom call that we do once a week, women just coming together to talk,
Mm-hmm.
or there'll be subjects that we're discussing. Uh, we also try to source as much support as we can for our women, stuff that they may not be able to access on their own.
Mm-hmm.
We look out for those things and bring them to the women. Interestingly, for now, like this week, we are going to be handing out bikes
Mm-hmm.
handing out bikes to women so that they can go out, they have an active life and
Yeah.
all that. So we just try to be there for our community, for them to access things that they may not normally access in day-to-day life on their own. But if we know where they are, we go out and bring them to our community.
Thank you so much, Angie. Thank you for sharing that story. And I'm really, really behind you. And I hope that you will get more financial support, because I know you had said you usually make applications requesting for financial support. Because I think what you're doing is really, really good and beneficial for the society, especially for migrants or people coming in, to find their feet or settle here. So well done. And I also found out that you wrote a book uncovering the new you. So I would, let the audience know about this book, and I would encourage them to buy it. I think it's really basically from your own experience, what you've gone through.
Yeah, that's mainly personal development manual. So
Yeah.
I like to go through it myself at the beginning of the year, goal setting and action
Personal
planning.
development, yeah.
Yes, and we also use the process from that book to support our work here, and we also have work in other countries in Africa. So the process from that book go towards
Go
the
there.
work because it's not like formally funded.
So that's all more reason for guys, for people to buy this book, because I mean, when they purchase it is on Amazon, right?
It is.
The money is going to, charity. So well done. Thank you so much for coming and being a guest on this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And that's all for today. Remember to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and see you in the next episode. Bye. Say bye to the camera. Bye.